Well, again, for your great service and really incredible accessibility to this committee over the last 3 or 4 years. Also want to, as the co-chairman of the Friends of Australia caucus with my colleague, Mr. Gallagher from Wisconsin, just say how, again, your appointment is really outstanding. This is a big year for our two countries. It's the 100 years of mateship, which we're celebrating really an alliance that is probably as deep and strong as any country in the world, and it's based on, and I think you know this, not just shared interests, but also shared values, and you're going to have a zero learning curve to take on this task in, again, an important time. So congratulations. I'd like to focus again on an issue that you have been pretty persistent in all of your prior visits, which is to focus on the undersea realm, where, again, you've noted that we still have an asymmetric advantage, but that's not a static condition. And again, page 25 of your testimony actually sort of quantifies, where we are today and where it's going in the future. I was wondering if maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
Thanks. I'll start off by commenting on the 100 years of mateship. That was started with General Monash, who was the first time an American force fought under a foreign leader, General Monash in World War I. So. On submarines and submarine warfare, undersea warfare is an asymmetric advantage that the United States has. No country on the earth can touch us and our ability to operate under the sea. But that is a perishable advantage that China and Russia are trying desperately to close. And if we don't continue to resource the undersea warfare capabilities that's resident in the Navy today, both in the submarine force and in our anti-submarine warfare forces, China and Russia will close that gap, and then we will face a significant challenge to our position in the world.
Thank you. And again, just to go to your testimony, again, which I think really kind of focuses exactly on what you just said, is roughly 230 of the world's 400 foreign submarines are in the Indo-Pacific, of which 160 belong to China, Korea, and Russia. Obviously, our entire attack submarine fleet is about 52, and that's obviously not all focused in the Pacific. So, I mean, at some point, this is math.
Yeah, and I'm concerned about it. I mean, I think it's arithmetic, really. I mean, it's a 52 now, and in the 2020s, it's going to dip down into the low to mid 40s. And my requirements for submarines are only met by about half now, and that's on a denominator of 52. When that denominator goes down, well, I guess that would be math then. Right. When that denominator goes down, and then the percentage of submarines that I get will be even less.
Thank you. I'd like to follow up on Mr. Whitman's question regarding sea lift, because, again, the part of the world that you're in, particularly the Korean Peninsula, in terms of offshore petroleum distribution for, a situation that might arise there. I mean, that's where, that's an example, I think, a concrete example of where, we've got a challenge right now in terms of, what sea lift resources are out there. I was wondering if you could sort of focus on that as a, specific example.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that in that niche capability, that offshore petroleum distribution, and the way that we're going to get our fuel from places like Red Hill in Hawaii to the fight in Korea, is we don't want to have that dependent on a 46-year-old ship, for example. So we have to invest in that, in my opinion.
Great, thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Kaufman.